Welcome back to the March Content Madness. What advice would you give a young woman about dating? Whether she's your daughter, your niece, your next door neighbor, or in my case, someone you mentored. I came up with this one piece of advice. Of course, it's not the totality of everything you would try to tell them, but I used to mentor a young group of women and they asked, you know, what would you say to us when it comes to choosing the right guy, irregardless of, we know we because this was in a church group, we know that we don't want to be unevenly yoked and we know that we have to share the same values, we have to share the same faith. That's all anyone ever really talks about that. But what other practical advice would you give us to help us traverse, this dating thing and get it right so that we know everyone we date, we're not going to marry or contemplate marrying, but we need advice about, should this person even be in our lives? Because even if we don't continue dating, we may continue to be friends, don't want to go into a situation bad. So, hey, you don't really talk about it a whole lot, but what would you share with us? And so I had to really stop and think about it because based on, like you say, you want someone who shares the same faith that you share. You want someone who shares the same values so that when you're rowing in the boat together, one isn't rowing forward and the other one rowing backward and you end up getting stuck and going nowhere. So as I contemplated what I could tell these young girls, and I really think when you talk to young people, you just have to be real with them and not sugarcoat it and not pretend like your whole life has been perfect and you've never made any mistakes, that they can get value because true wisdom comes from learning from other people's mistakes and not having to make them yourselves. So after I gave it some thought, this is what I came up with. There are simple men and men who are simple. A wise woman cherishes the first and walks away from the latter. And they just looked at me and they did that little blinking thing, like, huh? And that came to me because in dating, we try to make everything complicated. We've heard of all the lists and everything that people come up with, or we want someone to have this complicated backstory, or he's got to be this tall, he's got to have this kind of job, he's got to make this kind of money. But once you go first, with us being people of faith, having the same faith and having the same values, is that person complicated? Does that person make life complicated? And it's okay for everything to be simple, because simple doesn't mean easy. Simple doesn't mean, at least in the first case, doesn't mean dumb, doesn't mean lacking. But in the latter case, it means simple mean they don't understand themselves. So you save yourself a lot of heartache. I think there's value in that. And that's what I told them. And it led to a really good discussion. Why don't you have that discussion with a young lady in your life? And drop in the comments below and let me know, what advice would you give to a young lady in today's times about dating? Again, this is the March Content Madness. I'm ALICIA, reminding you to be a good human, to know that your voice matters, and to know that our stories matter, and they have to be shared. Talk to you tomorrow.
Crown on my curls, world in my palm, march to my beat, calm in the storm. Shattered limits, rose through the debris, stronger than iron, black gold set free. Strike like second to none. I'm the fire